Welcome back to another European reaction video. My name is Onel and this is my lady Tekla. Say hi to the Europeans.
Hi Europeans.
So today we are checking a video titled Putin awakes a sleeping giant in Europe.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
Vladimir Putin has pushed so many buttons and woken a sleeping giant, which is Germany. So we're checking German military power.
Oh my God.
Without hesitation, we are just two Africans. And we're checking out European stuff. Let's go.
Let's go.
Putin's actions in Ukraine have woken up a sleeping giant. Germany is making a massive military comeback that will revolutionize its armed forces to make them more of a threat than Putin ever believed they could be. The revolution was a long time coming. For years prior to the Ukraine invasion, many commentators decried the German military, pointing out that it was far weaker than a military for a country the size and importance of Germany should maintain. The Spectator offered one of those negative voices way back.
Just for perspective, Germany was one of the strongest countries militarily in the world. In fact, Germany was stronger than the United States.
You're kidding, right?
Yeah, just back in 1945, Germany was actually stronger than the US. And well, so the US finally took over.
As of now, the US, right?
Yeah, of course, by far.
Right.
So Germany started World War One. They were defeated, and after some time, they started World War Two in 1939. They started World War One in 1914. It ended in 1918. They started World War
Two
in 1939. It ended in 1945, led by a certain Adolf. Let's see how Germany has become now.
In August 2019, it published an article labeling the German military as a complete joke, claiming that the country was utterly incapable of fulfilling its...
When my uncle went to Germany, he actually took a picture in this glass house.
I sent you.
He brought the pictures back.
Okay.
Yeah.
The Spectator offered one of those negative voices. Way back in August 2019, it published an article labeling the German military as a complete joke, claiming that the country was utterly incapable of fulfilling its role as a NATO member. The argument was strong but fair. The Spectator pointed to several incidents from the time that revealed just how weak Germany's military had become. Among them was the grounding of 53 of its Tiger helicopters, amounting to its full fleet of choppers, due to an undefined technical error. The article used that example, among others, to demonstrate that a military that was once so feared for its immense technical efficiency had degraded to the point where it couldn't even keep some of its most important equipment in the skies. There were reasons for this weakness, the Spectator pointed out. Between 1945 and 1990, the German military was somewhat constrained in its development, owing both to its actions during World War II and the subsequent dividing of the country into West and East Germany. Even now, those limitations are in effect. Per the final settlement with respect to Germany, the country's armed forces are limited to 370,000 active.
So as of now, there is West and there's East Germany.
No, not now.
I really don't know much about Germany. I'm just like...
There used to be
I'm so blank.
There used to be East and West Germany after World War II. There was East and West Germany. The East was run by the Soviet Union, currently Russia, and the West was controlled by the Western Alliance, the US, the UK, France, and a host of a few more. Yeah, so now Germany is united. It's a united federal republic.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see.
So Germany was separated in the middle by a wall called the Berlin Wall.
I
You remember that?
Yeah, I do.
Personnel, of which no more than 345,000 can serve in its army and air force. Germany also isn't allowed to develop nuclear weapons, despite having the money and technical know-how to do so, which are all limitations that much of Europe welcomed, at least before Putin invaded Ukraine. The problem caused by these limitations placed on Germany, combined with its own lackluster approach to defense, is that Germany has spent several decades seemingly growing ever weaker on the military front. Defense Connect says that this weakness is a result of Germany doing very little to engage in military modernization over the last several decades. Germany's military modernization in the aftermath of the Cold War has been somewhat lackluster, the outlet claimed in 2023. This has resulted in major delays to acquisition programs, faulty equipment, costly overruns for major programs. One report published at the time highlighted the sheer scale of the issue. According to former Inspector General of the Bundeswehr Eberhard Zorn, Germany's military exhibited severe capability deficiencies in 2023. Zorn noted that only 30% of the country's helicopters supposedly available to the country's navy were actually available as of November 2022, along with just a third of its fighter jet stock, over half of its Marder infantry vehicles, and only 3 of its 6 submarines. It all painted a picture of a supposed powerhouse of a country that was little more than a paper tiger. Putin would have been rubbing his hands with glee when reading these types of reports. For Russia's leader, Germany's military weakness offered nothing but good news for his Ukraine invasion plans. He knew that one of his supposed greatest European military adversaries had a bark that was much worse than his bite. What would Germany be able to do to help Ukraine? Sure, it could send military aid, but given all these reports about equipment problems, surely that aid wouldn't do much to stop him from taking Ukraine.
And back here, our country was actually colonized by Germany in 1884.
Country, Cameroon.
Yeah, was colonized by Germany in 1884.
Okay.
And they were finally beaten out of Cameroon in 1916 by the British and the German. From there on, they partitioned Cameroon into English and French-speaking Cameroon.
Yes.
And from there, the French and the British were remote in 1961 and 1960 and stuff like that. So that's why we can speak French. On peut parler le français, on peut parler l'anglais, on fait les réactions pour les vidéos américaines, européennes et tout ça. Bon.
And that's the more reason why I kind of feel like Cameroon is more dominated by French.
No, it's not feel. It's actually
dominated by French, right?
By
Especially when it comes to politics,
Yeah.
ministers,
Everything.
these big rulers.
Yeah.
Yes.
Everything is dominated by the French. But it's just because Anglophones are just about 20% of the population. So, well, yeah, let's keep moving.
Let's keep
Putin
going.
didn't account for two things. First, he thought that Ukraine would roll over when he fully invaded in February 2022. That didn't happen. Ukraine bravely defended itself, pushing Russia out of several of the cities it occupied during the initial invasion. Since then, Ukraine's military has only grown stronger with Western support, while also revealing that Russia's military has just as many equipment-related problems as Germany's. That alone might not have been a problem. However, the second problem for Putin is that his Ukraine invasion represented a wake-up call to the rest of Europe. Germany has heeded that call more than any other nation. In the 16 months following the Ukraine invasion, Germany made several moves to demonstrate to Putin that it was paying attention to what he was doing and it was ready to respond. As The Guardian reported in the summer of 2023, Germany has already ended its reliance on Russia's oil and gas, in addition to sending plenty of weapons to Ukraine. It's also become one of Ukraine's most important financial backers, sitting second only behind the US in terms of individual countries that have donated the most money to Ukraine. More recently, Germany has been sounding the alarm bells about a potential Russian plan to attack NATO.
All these flags, are they for the 44?
No, for NATO. NATO is an alliance of North Atlantic countries. They say NATO, NATO, NATO,
NATO.
North Atlantic Treaty Organization. Yeah. So their core principle, I remember there are 32 countries in NATO, and their Article 5 state that if you attack one country, you attack all the 32
countries.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So yeah, everybody.
Whenever you attack, just be ready.
Yeah. If you punch one person, be ready for 64. 64 punches, like, yeah. 32 people have 64 punches.
Stop it.
In terms of individual countries that have donated the most money to Ukraine. More recently, Germany has been sounding the alarm bells about a potential Russian plan to attack NATO. On March 29, 2025, the UK Defence Journal reported on a joint document published by Germany's Bundeswehr and its Federal Intelligence Service. That document claimed that Russia now views the West as a systemic enemy, as demonstrated by the fact that its Navy and Air Force are being kept at high readiness, even though both have relatively little involvement in the Ukraine war compared to Russia's ground forces. The report pointed to Russia committing over 6% of its gross domestic product, or GDP, to defense in 2025, along with the country's plans to grow its armed forces to 1.5 million members as a sign of something big on the horizon. Russia may be planning for a fight with NATO. If that fight comes, Putin may be in for a rude awakening. Why? The sleeping giant of Germany is now wide awake to his ambitions, and it's doing something that Putin never thought possible. It's making a military comeback. Scratch that, Russia has pushed Germany into a full-blown revolution that means any war Putin wages against NATO will see him face off against a supremely powerful foe. Here's what Germany is doing to prepare for Russia, along with a future that should see it ascend to becoming one of Europe's most respected military powers once again. It all starts with spending, a lot of spending. On April 28th, Breaking Defense reported that all of Europe appears to be trending toward higher military spending than at any point over the last few decades. Germany is leading the charge. It's preparing to become the fourth largest defense spender in the entire world, putting it behind only the US, Russia, and China in terms of the money it's going to pour into its armed forces. The numbers are impressive.
I think Germany is actually, the third richest economy in the world. Yeah, you have the US, you have China, you have Germany. Then you have India, Japan, the UK. Yeah.
The US is always top, like.
Yeah, by far. Number one.
At first, it used to be China, right?
No, China has never been bigger than the US economy. Though China is older than the US by far. Like, by far. I think this year the US is going to become, very soon the US is going to become 250 years old on the 4th of July this year. Yeah. We'll be in the US celebrating.
Yes, we'll celebrate.
It's going to pour into its armed forces. The numbers are impressive. In 2024 alone, Germany spent $88.5 billion on defense. Interestingly, you can argue that Germany was still underspending that year. $88.5 billion accounted for 1.9% of Germany's GDP, placing its spending below the 2% of GDP spending recommended by NATO. However, that's actually bad news for Russia. It means that Germany still has plenty of room to grow, meaning we may see its military spending rocket up in the next few years. Even with that GDP limitation, the 2024 numbers represented a 28% increase over Germany's 2023 military spending, along with an overall 89% rise since 2015. In other words, Germany has almost doubled the amount of cash it's dedicated to its armed forces over the last decade. This sudden surge in spending was bolstered by a $105 billion extra budgetary fund Germany established in 2022 when Putin launched his full-scale invasion. That fund was designed to lead to more spending up until 2024, allowing Germany to procure more weapons from its arms manufacturers and engage in new military research projects. The results of this spending are numerous. Over the last couple of years, Germany has been able to send over $14.3 billion in military aid to Ukraine, along with several billion more in humanitarian and financial aid. In terms of its own military, Germany has used these funds to spend heavily on 97 procurement and development projects since 2022. Those projects have resulted in the country reinforcing its stockpile of Leopard 2A8 main battle tanks and enabled the development of new U-212CD submarines. Add the purchases of more Patriot missiles for its aerial defenses and a renewed focus on 155mm artillery procurement, and you get a spending spree that will have Putin shaking in his boots. That spending alone might be enough to show you that Germany is committed to making a military comeback, but it's nothing compared to what 2025 and beyond have in store. In March, Germany's lawmakers voted.
Germany is getting huge again, and it's scaring people because if this country becomes too strong again, we might don't know what will happen. Though it is strong democratic country now, not like the fascists and
from some of the videos that we've been doing, including the US videos that we've been reacting to.
Yeah.
Do you think there's any African country that has close to any of these military equipment?
Absolutely not. I think there's no African country that gets this powerful, but Egypt is pretty strong.
Or maybe they have those submarine stuff for war.
Egypt is pretty strong. South Africa is pretty strong.
So they have those type of.
Yeah, they have submarines. It's not about having submarine. It's like, what type of submarine do you have? Yeah. It's what type of submarine do you have? Yeah.
Because I feel like a country like our own, don't they watch this type of videos? I don't see anything.
Yeah, they see, they prefer to use the money to buy cars. Give young ladies. Yeah. Well, that's up to them. I don't even care. If they like, they invade the country. Then they take over the country from them. It's not my country. If you can't defend your country, don't cry when it's taken from you.
Okay.
For a historic increase in defense and infrastructure spending, unlike anything the country has seen before. This vote was massive. Approved by 2/3 of the country's parliament, the vote ruled to make defense and security spending exempt from Germany's strict debt rules that typically prevent it from raising its military budget. With those shackles removed, the country has created a $547 billion infrastructure budget that it plans to spend on strengthening both its military and the facilities that military needs to be effective in the European theatre. Incoming German Chancellor Friedrich Merz commented at the time that the vote was the result of Germany.
Friedrich Merz. is their current chancellor. He took over from
Germany.
Yeah, the German chancellor. The guy is very tall and he speaks very good English and German. I like him so much. He's a very good guy. I like how he speaks. Love you, Germany.
Love you, Frederick.
Realizing that it had felt a false sense of security over the past decade. The decision we are making today, Merz said, can be nothing less than the first major step towards a new European defense community. In other words, Germany isn't just spending to empower itself, it's doing it to strengthen the entire European resistance, including dedicating money to countries that aren't part of the European Union, that may soon face Putin's expansionist ambitions. Key among the features of the new law is the changing of the German debt brake. Previously, any defense spending Germany conducted was subject to a limit on borrowing that activated when that spending reached 0.35% of the country's GDP. Anything over had to come from Germany's funds, with no borrowing involved. Now, spending above 1% of GDP won't be subject to any borrowing limits, essentially meaning that Germany has just granted itself free rein to spend as much as it needs to when revolutionizing its armed forces. More than $500 billion committed to new spending initiatives is the result. And if all of that wasn't enough, Germany took another action in late April to show Putin that it's serious about countering the threat Russia poses to Europe. It triggered an EU emergency clause that allows the country to rapidly increase its spending without triggering any of the EU's spending rules. That move amounted to a second blockade being removed a little over a month after Germany removed its domestic spending restrictions. Under the EU emergency clause, Germany, along with other members of the EU, gains the ability to increase their spending by up to 1.5% of their GDP annually for the next 4 years. Germany has encouraged its EU partners to take advantage of that rule. It may have a tough time in some areas. While Germany isn't saddled with any debt, which is another reason why it can increase spending now, nations like Spain and Italy are in a more difficult position. Though such countries may not join Germany in boosting their spending, they'll still benefit from the country's dedication to revolutionizing its military. These aren't moves Germany is making solely for its own sake. They're moves that see it step up as the EU protector it was always supposed to be. Politico says that the triggering of this emergency clause means that Germany has the potential to go far beyond the $550 billion or so of spending to
these places are very familiar because I told that this guy went to Germany. He actually took an image in this thing. I think this place is in.
You mean your uncle?
Yeah, he actually took an image in this round. That's a restaurant of here.
Jesus.
Yeah.
How do you get? Okay.
Yeah, you actually climb in there and then you get to the restaurant. It's very nice. I don't know if this is in Berlin or Frankfurt. Yeah, Germany is just a very nice country. Really nice.
I feel like it's also having land.
It's a big country. It's one of the biggest countries in Europe. It would have been way bigger if not for the United States in 1945. Germany would have taken the whole of Europe.
Jesus. That's bad.
That's true. Yeah, if not for the United States, Germany would have taken the whole of Europe because those guys they had already taken all of Denmark, France, Poland. They were up to it.
Which it already committed after stripping away its domestic limitation. Merz has already agreed to a $1.13 trillion package of defense and infrastructure that relies on the EU's emergency clause. Don't underestimate how vital spending will be to Germany's military revival. It was already the world's fourth largest defense spender in 2024, regardless of the state of its equipment. Now we're seeing the country make moves that could put it closer to par with Russia and China when it comes to its military budgets. So Germany is finally putting its money where its mouth is when it comes to its military. But what does this mean in real terms? For one thing, the country is now engaged in a massive rearmament. We've already touched on this with the mentions of its purchases of new Leopard tanks, submarines, and artillery shells. Writing for Forbes in March, David Axe provided even more details. He says that along with the equipment already mentioned, Germany plans to spend big on new warships, radio and radar jammers, spy satellites, and even artificial intelligence. These last two are important because they show us that Germany isn't solely looking to increase the size of its military. The country also wants to modernize. With new satellites, it can keep more eyes on Putin, gather information that informs its own strategies, and can be shared with allies. The increasing use of artificial intelligence could allow for the development of new automated drones and similar weapons that enable Germany to fight against Russia while putting fewer of its soldiers at risk. That isn't to say that Germany won't be focusing on low-tech spending. Axe says that the German military requires advanced technologies, many of which it procures from the United States. However, its most urgent needs are twofold: people and ammunition. We've already seen that the country intends to spend big on new artillery shells. We can also likely safely assume that spending will extend to everything from missiles, such as the new Patriot missiles it intends to buy, and even ammunition for its small arms. As for the people problem, that's another issue entirely.
Oh, thank you so much for watching. The video was such an amazing video. We'll leave the link to the video in the description
Below. So head in there
and watch.
Subscribe and watch.
We love you, Germany.
And don't
and
forget
Europe.
to subscribe here as well.
We love you, Germany and Europe.